Alrighty, welcome back. Now, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that in life, timing is everything. Just like it's probably not a coincidence that you're watching this video at this time. Time is the great equalizer, our greatest asset. And when we're managing our time to accomplish some complex task, it's generally wise to break it up into manageable steps, to commit ourselves to doing one thing at a time, because if we try to do everything all at once, the result generally doesn't turn out so well. And it's the same thing with the body. When we eat a meal, the body has to then digest and assimilate everything we just gave it. It has to make sense of all this energy and information so it could put it to use and repair, rebuild the body. And when we're not being conscious of the foods that we're combining and the timing of our meals, it can create this huge mess that the body then needs to sort out, which draws a tremendous amount of resources and energy. I want you to imagine that I gave you a deck of playing cards and I asked you to sort them by suit and put them in number order. Pretty easy task, right? You could probably do that while you're watching TV. But now imagine I throw your deck on the floor and then I throw in 3 more decks, and then I throw in 3 decks of Uno cards and 3 decks of tarot cards, and then I mix them all up and I ask you to do the same thing for all of the decks. Not so easy now, right? Simple tasks, you'd probably do them very easily by themselves, but when you mix it up and try to do it all at once, it creates a bit of a mess. And so this is what we do when we combine all these different foods and macronutrients, our proteins, fats, carbs. And one of the most damaging things that we do, in fact, is combining grains with meat. It's incredibly inflammatory to the body, but this is one of the reasons that I believe both carnivores and raw vegans both see positive results, is because these two populations are at the extremes, both extremes of the spectrum. And so what they're doing is, knowingly or unknowingly, they're both eliminating the major mistakes that the general population makes in the middle. And so this is what I've come to realize, is that the body loves simplicity. There is a method to the madness. It's like the order of operations that we all learned in math class when we were younger. And when we keep the inputs very simple, the body knows how to take care of the rest, how to restore us back to health. I describe the digestive process to people like one of those big water slides that you see at those resorts or those water parks. With the water flowing down them. And when the water is flowing and the tube is clear, you can jump in and slide down very easily, no problem. But if you start shoving all this junk down there, inner tubes and pool noodles and chairs down into the slide, pretty soon things aren't flowing so well. And that's what happens with our digestive system. The whole system gets backed up. The process can't flow. Things can't get to where they're meant to be. And this is why we see so many issues with digestion and health. I was talking with my sister and my family about this, and my sister goes, it's kind of like a conveyor belt, right? And I thought this was a great analogy. It reminded me of one of my favorite shows as a kid, Drake and Josh. You might know it. I was born in the late 90s. It was my time. But there's this one episode where Drake and Josh are working this job where they have to take this sushi that's coming at them on a conveyor belt and put it into boxes.
Your job is to take the pieces of sushi off the conveyor belt and place them into these containers here. Then you place the containers back on the line there.
And so this is what our body needs to do: digest and break down the food, absorb it through the gut wall, pass the nutrients and the sugars into the bloodstream, and then get those nutrients off of the conveyor belt and into the cells. And if we're eating real whole foods in the way that nature intended, the body recognizes exactly what the food is and it knows exactly what to do with it. It's in the system, it's into the bloodstream, it's into the cells, just like that. No issues.
Putting sushi in a box, how easy is this?
I know, right?
And here we go.
Time to package some dead fish.
Oh yeah, this is really challenging.
But when we start combining proteins, oils, starches, all these things that clog up the system, and then we follow that up with fruit, which is a very fast digesting food because we're trying to be healthy and finish off the meal on a healthy note. Now the system is backed up. Now the sugars from the starches and the fruit can't be offloaded into the cells. And this is where we see issues with high blood sugar, because it can't get off of the conveyor belt like it's designed to.
Whoa. Whoa, this thing's going kind of fast. Hey, can you slow it down a little bit? Whoa, hey, grab the pieces. Grab them. Put them on the side. Put them on the side. Try it.
And so eating all your foods at once, allowing them to mix and putrefy in the digestive system and create this big mess, it will have a very different effect on the body than if you were to eat each food by itself. And this is why the timing of our eating is so important.
I'm trying. I got to go. I got you. Pat, thank you. All right. Come on, will you slow it down, please? We're just boys.
So my advice, especially to those of you on a raw diet, is what we call monofruiting, where we eat one thing at a time and give it 20 to 30 minutes to digest, ideally, before you move on to something else. Hopefully you'll be so full from eating that last meal that you won't be hungry. But I like to start my day off with the water-dense, quick digesting fruits, things like melons, grapes, oranges, peaches, mangoes, that sort of thing. These are your fast-moving foods, going back to the water slide analogy, and they hydrate you with structured water, they charge your cells with electricity, and then later towards the end of the day, if I want them, I'll introduce the heavier, denser foods. So things like avocados, bananas, dates, and this is also a time to do your cooked meal or a transition meal if that's what you're doing right now and transitioning onto a more raw diet. Do this cooked meal at the very end of the day, because these things take more time and energy to digest, but you'll be a lot more satiated as the day comes to a close, so you don't feel as hungry going to bed. So I hope this visual and this analogy has helped you out today. If nothing else, hopefully you got a good laugh. Remember, this journey is meant to be fun. It's meant to be fulfilling. And I think so many of us, and I know I definitely do this, but we embark on this path of health and self-transformation, and we take ourselves so seriously. We trade our old symptoms and our suffering of the past for the pain of perfectionism and self-judgment. And this isn't what life is meant to be. So embrace this process of growth and transformation and learning new things, because if you're not enjoying it, then why do it at all? So hopefully you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon.